started incorporating male dancing with it, the Detroit male dance scene. Started incorporating the popping and ticking with the jit. Jit just had a firm base to where you can add additive dance into it. And Detroit is the only city with that style jit movement.
Today is a type of footwork, type of dance style that's very known in Detroit.
Jitting is a Detroit dance style.
The dance that defines Detroit relative to all the other places and what they do.
The coldest footwork you will ever see.
It's like a ball with energy.
It's the rhythm, the beat, the bang, the dance, and the clout. That's the best way I can put it. You can jit real slow, you can jit fast, you can tick a jit. You got the African steps in it. You got modern dance step in it.
Shuffles, hip movement, footwork, of course. We have arm movements. Everything is on beat.
Started strong in the 70s and progressed its way on up to even now, where you got East Side jit, West Side jit.
You got old school jit and new school jit. LA was known for their choreography, and they popping, and they locking. And New York is known for hops and breaking and all that. Chicago is known for their footwork, but Detroit is known for a jit.
There's a common misconception that the jit originated from the 1920s due to the similarity in name with the popular swing dance and style of the Jitterbug. Although both dances stem from the sense of losing control and contains intricate steps and repetitions, one was not birthed from the other. The jit is strictly a hip-hop urban fusion combining the funk and soulful rhythms of the 1970s.
I really don't know.
I just always remember, I've just seen people doing it, and I never really talked to anybody about it at all. You know, so it's something I'd be interested to find out about.
Don't know where it came from, don't know who invented it. It just kept progressing. Music started to change. Music got faster. Jit became something else. All the old 70s stuff went away, and the guys just started moving in a different rhythm. The old 70s stuff went away. The old 70s stuff went away.
You got the run. All the jitterbugs and dancing is their thing. Gang bang!
One of the baddest dancers you ever want to see in your life. The baddest dancers. Okay? They are bad. I had a pleasure working with them in Chicago, Las Vegas, and Miami.
Because of their personalities and their style, they were different. They had the little suits on and they was real smooth.
The Jitterbugs are the originators.
We seen the Jitterbugs perform back in the day, and they did something that was something unique and different. And we wanted to learn it, so we studied it, and we learned it, and we changed and put our own swag to it.
As techno came in, Eastside took it to a whole nother level.
What up, though? Guru King Stop, aka the Great Dino, when it comes down to the jit. I want to big up the originators of this dance called the jit, the Jitterbugs.
The members of the Jitterbugs was Stanley Bowman, Tony Kearsage, James McGhee, Tracy McGhee, and myself, Johnny McGhee. And you know, if I could have had it any other way, all of the shows we did, I would have wanted it to be 5 members. It's something to see, man. We used to break stages. When we did a back no and come down, 5 dudes, that's over almost 1,000 pounds. Crack! Breaking stages, man.
I'm Stanley Bowman. He was the biggest of the group. Tony Kearsage, we call him the pretty boy of the group. He's light skinned, you know, he had good hair. And it was Jay, which is my little brother Johnny. He was the level head. He was magnificent because no matter what I gave him to do, he picked it up well. Then it was me, I just called me like the organizer, you know, trying to keep the group together. Then it was my oldest brother James. He was what we called the roughneck. He would smack anybody at any given time. He's a real live wire.
At that time, it wasn't good to steal ourselves. It was not good to steal ourselves. Because if you steal ourselves, we got to come see. We got to put their hands on you. He steal the Jitterbug session. Or steal some steps. And then in performing, he might run up on the stage and whoop you.
Back then, the Jitterbugs were associated with crime. Okay. And I ain't ashamed to say it, man, you know, we were criminals in that respect. So for a person or a senior in our hood to see us in front of Epiphany, they would say, "There go them Jitterbugs standing out there again." That name actually followed us to the stage.
Sure did.
And that locked and stayed with us all the years that we performed for our group called Jitterbugs. Ladies and gentlemen, the Jitterbugs!
Come on, baby, come on!
Detroit, put your hands together and jump and sing along with the Jitterbug here tonight. Come on, sing. Let's make some noise.
Coming from St. Louis, Missouri, and my mom had passed, and wow, I was a little boy, man. I was about, what, 4 or 5 when we hit Detroit.
Down there on Magnolia, Grand River down there. Stayed down there for a few years till we moved over to 16 McGraw. But we had Aspiration Entertainment even back then, right? And so we left there and moved to Manor in Chicago, down the rock. And I tell you what, back then, which was 40 years or more ago, they looked to have decent. Man, we walk in the crib, we had carpet upstairs, grass in the alley. I mean, it was a big switch from where we were coming from. What up, Del?
The Motown era was the world. The world was listening to the Motown at that time. And as all my father would come home and, you know, put on one of the jams, there was music playing in our house all the time. Monday through Thursday, there was music, but Friday, it went up another notch. Friends were coming over, food, drinks, and then of course, you know, when I'm our era, you know, you didn't stay around grown folks. Y'all go outside, and that's where we were at, outside all the time. It really helped me with my imagination also. Always playing, always trying to find something to get into. The older we started getting, the more daredevil type things we started getting into.
Man, we used to go to vacant houses, right? Jump from roof to roof. This is the kind of entertainment we did while they was dancing and stuff, right? And that's what got some of their most entertainment, because they was like, one person said, man, I could do a flip off the top of this house. Stop lying, right? So we went and found some mattress, right? Rubbed those suckers around, stacked them up. This brother walked up there, right? And all it takes is for one, right? My man, he got up on the peak, man. My house is high, but he got up on the peak. And that brother did a backwards no off of it. We all screamed, all right. Now you know how it go. Now who next? His oldest brother used to always go. He used to always say, run up there.
With the death of their mother early on in their childhood, the 3 McGhee brothers survived the best way they could in a rough neighborhood. Left to raise 4 children on his own, including a daughter, Bonnie, the McGhee brothers' father, also named James, found his own ways of coping with Detroit life.
Our family's been real tight all the time, you know. And my father, you know, he worked 9 to 5.
He was my mom's and my father and my hero. He was heavily into drugs, and it was his way of life, but I also think he was doing that because it was the heartbreak of losing my mom and have to raise 4 kids by himself.
My father made it clear that if he ever catch us doing any kind of drug, he was gonna split our head to the white meat, okay? And he was dead serious about that. And when we took it at heart, he didn't teach us nothing about it, and he didn't want us to be a part of it.
I'll tell you one incident. We was in the kitchen, and we were eating, and our daddy told us to be quiet, and they was still kept on cracking jokes and everything, and we were in there laughing, and daddy was in the dining room, and he told us again, y'all better stop all that noise, and we kept on, and he reached around the corner, and he popped the first person he caught. Who was that? Johnny. He had a bloody nose and everything. He didn't even come in there. He just reached around the corner and went, bam! And we was all like,
Despite his habits, Red McGhee cared deeply for his family and fearlessly came to the rescue of his boys one night when they found themselves in a life-threatening situation with one of the first African-American drug cartels in the country, Young Boys Incorporated, YBI.
He pushed us through the storm. He made us face the weather. I take nothing from him. He kept the family together. He was the best father in the world. He saved my life one night in the wrong place at the wrong time. And the street that we ended up on ended up being a den of the YBI, Young Boys Incorporated. So we ended up at the party and we was having a good time, and all of a sudden, the crowd dissipated and, all the guys disappeared. Eventually, most of the girls disappeared. So we found our way out, after fighting a couple of guys, get our way out of the basement and run into about 12 guys. All of them had nickel-plated, 38s.
Which pushed us back into the basement party, because we didn't carry guns then, so guess what? We're going back into the party.
And somehow we took over the house, and I got to the phone and called my father. And as I'm making a phone call, a guy pops up out of nowhere. He's real little and short, and he was like, YBI, what y'all doing over here?
We run this.
We run this. And Pops finally pulled up, and he walked from the car. His partner got out of the car and stood on the side of the car. I just never forget him walking up through the crowd with the pistol in his hand. And all these other guys had guns too, but for some reason they knew not to even go in that direction with him. The way he tapped on the door with his pistol and tell his sons to come on out of the house.
Don't, the guy right.
Told us, come on out. Tracy, Johnny, come on out of there. And we opened the door, and lo and behold, these guys are not shooting. I guess because my father was a grown man and we were kids, and they were kids.
We all come out single file.
Just looking at my father, I knew nothing was going to touch us. I knew nobody was going to bother us. He just had that aura about him. They waited until we got in the car and pulled down the street, started shooting at us. But like my father, he stopped, started shooting back. I mean, he was just a man's man. I remember pulling up and getting out of the car, seeing all the holes in the car, and I just was in awe of my dad walking around the car and getting out and laughing. My father didn't want us in the entertainment field. He wanted us to be athletes. But that came later down the road. He thought dancing was for sissies. He never came to one of our shows.
None of them. I'll tell you
one.
When we got ready.
We gigged for years, and he would always hear about it. And the night we performed at Hart Plaza, when we had the whole arena to ourselves, he came. And
it was special.
He said,
Daddy, that's Daddy.
He said, y'all did real good. I remember Clifford Fierce, the choreographer, did the Dunham technique, and when he seen us, he was telling us about precision dancing. Y'all just precision dancing. That ain't street dancing. And he's like, here, take a clip of this, and he gave us a clip of the Nicholas Brothers. Blew my mind. Those guys was doing stuff that inspired me to do either other more creative stuff, but to see them doing stuff so similar to what we were doing, it blew my mind. It made me feel as if, I had stole some stuff from them, but we were different because we had more of a street edge, and they were more like a classy jazz type of performance. If you ever seen the Nicholas Brothers perform, but some of their stunts, we did those naturally. All of the guys who used to sing and dance, like the Dramatics, Temptations, Stylistics, anybody who's doing footwork, or the Lockers, I'm sure they was from California, Shabba them. Messed me all up because they was first dance group I ever saw.
Hats off to the average white man who actually formed the Jitterbugs, along with Larry Graham and Graham Central Station, and Bo Hannon, and of course George Clinton.
But one of the McGhee brothers' most famous influences, also reaching the heights of their Motown tenure in the 1970s, was none other than the Jackson 5.
Somehow, from us emulating them, that magic came into our circle, because every time we performed, we got applause the same way they did. I'm not even comparing myself to them, but because that's who I looked up to, I think that's where that magic came from. The way they spin, the way they move, the way they choreographed some of the steps, and when they was hitting on beats, and when the breakdown would come and they would go, the walk on, boom, 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 dunk, you know, and the crowd just, man.
Because they brothers. More than anything. They be talking to each other. Hey Marlon, hey Tito, you know, so we can relate to that as, hey Tracy, hey man. James is his real name, man. We'll call him man. So by us being brothers, man, we spend all our time together. After school, at night, in the morning, before we get to school, we walk home from school together. So we had that bond. We rehearsed a lot in the basement. Everything was above our heads going on, but in the basement was our domain. It was an outlet for us.
In making their own cultural imprint on the dance community, the Jitterbugs looked to Tracy McGhee for their organization and main choreography.
The Jit is like an eclectic dance of a bunch of dances from the street that somehow, while we were woodshedding, when I mean woodshedding, we go in our own home or in the backyard or wherever we were dancing in the middle of the night up under the street light, and these steps start coming in. And one step, which we call the walk, it took over the whole ism of our dance, and everybody called it the Jit. But each dance that we did had its own name. The basic steps is the walk. That came from Stanley Bowman. He was a real big guy, and when he would do it, he would make this expression on his face and hunk his shoulders and move his arms, and it was just incredible when you see him doing it. Jazz, I would give that one to my little brother Jay. There was something about the way he would twist his arm and jazz his feet at the same time. It was just the way he just flowed with the jazzy, so I would give the jazz to him. I would say the groundwork was more mine. I just wanted to attack. I I wanted to do something nobody would do. That's how I ended up doing the front and off the stage way before my time. I was doing a lot of stuff. I would never go out and do the same move. James was just cool. Every move he did, he would always have this little grin on his face. He was just smooth. Can't forget Tony Karasage. My man Tony Karasage, he was the pretty boy of the group, and I don't know what we called it the tone. It was a certain move we used to go back and go down and then skip up like this, going towards the crowd, throwing a hand out, and he used to like to wear all red with this red hat, and he used to look just the coolest person I've ever seen. The strike, it's like a piece of a puzzle. You can't jit unless you strike somewhere in the routine. It sends you back to the next step.
And when you're walking and you got the sweet clothes on, the walk looks so much better. The walk is designed for Stacey Adams, Bimby Burks, for the shoes to be gleaming, so that when you look at your feet and you're walking, it kind of hypnotizes you.
The Jitterbugs' hard work and endless practicing proved worth it in 1975 when they finally got their first paid gig at a neighborhood backyard party.
First gig was Greg Boulder in a backyard party.
Like a reception?
Reception. Somebody got married and they wanted us to dance, and we did it, and
it felt good. The response?
It wasn't just the response, it was the way that people react. I have to keep going over that because, I know, but I'm just saying everybody didn't get the reaction we would get.
I looked down the line, I could see everybody in line, and the feet, I could see a certain move, and I thought to myself, man, that was sweet. Then bam, bam. And so when it was done, to walk off was like being introduced. I mean, it still had a group thing. I'm like, oh, we a group? I'm in the middle, he in front of me, and it felt that way. That first show was like the birth. It really was. So from then on, man, I had the buzz.
The group moved forward, managed by Brenda Harris, and booked shows at several Detroit area venues. But unfortunately, the synergy with 5 members wouldn't last, and scandal soon erupted.
Stanley Bowman was the man. The only problem was, he also was a ladies' man, and he ended up banging our manager, and the money started missing. Before you know it, him and my older brother got into a big bang. Boop, Stan was gone.
Stanley Bowman left our group together with our manager. They took the name. She went to the city council and registered the name, The Jitterbugs. She was 35, 36, with 4 kids. He was maybe 19. I mean, she got us a lot of shows that we probably couldn't get on our own. And I could tell you that I didn't really want her to not be our manager. I wanted her to continue to be our manager. But the drama got so thick that there was no other way.
The only way we could use Jitterbug was to put one of our names in the front. So, Johnny McGhee in the Jitterbug.
James McGhee in the Jitterbug, no. Tracy McGhee in the Jitterbug, yeah, that's it. And a whole generation of folks know us as Tracy McGhee and the Jitterbug. Here's some of the signs to let us know that it's going to be three brothers. We're performing, and in our performance we whip a flip. And when we did that, our rule is never take change out on the stage with you. A whole bunch of change fell on the stage. And in the midst of the flow of the steps and the choreography, Tony Kersage just stopped and picked up his quarters, put them in his pocket, and waved to the crowd, y'all crazy, and try to get back in line with the groove. And Tracy, my brother, looked at him and walked off the stage. Is you crazy? It was the first time we ever walked off of a stage of performance. And I looked down the line, I walked off the stage, and we all walked off the stage because he was losing it. I mean, man, he was like a brother to me. Along with our rehearsals, we would be rehearsing after that, and he would stop and put his hand right here. And we flowing down here, and we look up at him and say, man, what you doing? We all stop and say, what you doing? He said, I can do this if I want to. And so my brother Tracy grabbed his head, tried to move it, and he wouldn't move. He had strength. He said, the boy is losing his mind. He was. And at that point, after about 3 more years, it was just the 3 brothers.
Now, down to only 3, Tracy McGhee and the Jitterbugs pressed on, booking school talent shows and networking the best they could.
We started getting our own shows. We started listening to the radio and here's a telephone number if you want to get, and we write the number down and we'll go, and sure enough, we became our own promoters and our own managers.
The Mackenzie is over this way, right here. Mackenzie should be still standing. They haven't tore it down, but it's not functioning anymore. Yeah, they go to Mac right there. Man, we did a show in the Mac.
They treated us like we was the Jackson 5. And this school, man, to bring back that memory of that talent show that night. I don't even know if I have pictures of that night, but it was special. And then the guy who won the year before, his name was Wood, he asked us to be on a show that he was doing with his group down at the King's Row, which is Reggie's now. And that night, his group performed, we performed that night. We actually became good friends.
With the tension still high, particularly evident in oldest brother James, more drama followed at a performance set to happen at a rival high school.
Verdell invited us to Cooley.
Yeah.
And we go up there to do a show, the Jitterbug. Now at this time it's 3 members. Stanley is gone, Tony Kersage is gone. So the 3 brothers go up here, we meet him, we look through a door like this, through the hallway, and see my man, oh! And he come down there and open up the door, so we go in, he said, hey, I'm run over here and I'll meet y'all back at the auditorium. So we walking in Cooley, we don't even go there, and what? The principal and security guards coming down the hall, just a coincidence. And they come over and they say, hey, what you guys doing there? And before I can start saying, hey, we're here to do a show. One security guard ran up to my brother and was just grabbing like this. But why he did that? Because the reaction was bam! Knocked the security guard down, bam! And the principal, it was on. Do you know, man, that we took it into the secretary's office? My brother dove through the air on the principal, but he dove through a few desks and passed some telephones. Boom on the principal of Cooley High. Boom to the ground. It's on. Security guys try to get on. Anyway, man, they called the police. They handcuffed us, beat us. Oh, man, it was messed up. We never got a chance to do the show.
That day, Mr. Lewis made it possible for us to be here. That day, all y'all for showing up. You ready for some more? Let me hear you say, yo, baby, yo, baby, yo.
1978 would mark the beginning of the Jitterbugs' true establishment and flourish. Collaborations put them on a path to meet a woman that would change their careers forever.
They're dancers and they have their own thing. They're the kind of dancers that you're also going to be hearing about. We want you to remember the names of these young artists as we give them to you today. As you hear Lionel Hampton's Flying Home, we want you to welcome the Jitterbugs. Let's hear it for them.
Jimmy Daniels, he told us about Kim Weston.
Like, yo, man, I want y'all to come to this program, man. You know, I know these ladies love y'all, man. Her name is Kim Weston. I was like, Kim Weston? Is she a singer or something like that?
Kim Weston, born in Detroit, Michigan in 1939, was a legendary Motown singer. reaching her musical heyday during the 1960s. She later went on to establish the Festival for the Performing Arts, a Detroit youth summer program geared toward training, mentorship, development, and employment in the creative arts, with talent competitions taking place at Belle Isle and later Hart Plaza.
My name is Kim Weston. I'm a former Motown recording artist, and my biggest record at Motown was with Marvin Gaye, It Takes Two. Now, Tammy Terrell, Kim Weston. I started Festival in 1977, a program that would train young people and then produce and promote them. And some of the things that I saw wrong at Motown, I wanted to see if I was right in believing that something better could be done. And Mary Young said, well, okay, Kim, no one has ever tried this before. You try it. And don't let anybody else tell you how to do it. And these were children from economically disadvantaged families. So that meant that they did not have the money to have the classes and things. We had 13 workshops in Festival, which included culinary arts and visual arts and mass communication. If you dance or you like to sing, whatever it is that you do naturally, I wanted them to embellish on that, you know. And then I got professionals to work with them in that particular area.
It was a blessing in disguise. It was another thing that took us off the street, because then we didn't have to go home and rehearse. We could always go to work and get paid to work on our craft. And I know to this day that we would never got to the level of entertainment had we not gotten part of her program.
Stevie Wonder was a friend of Kim Weston. She brought him to the program one day. Oh man, you should have seen everybody. I couldn't believe it. I was like, damn, that's Stevie. I said, what's wrong? He said, I seen him. I said, seen who? Stevie, I seen him. His face was blank.
Many of them went on to work professionally in the areas that they got the training in the workshop. We have young people that are working with some of the greatest people in the business right now.
The Festival for the Performing Arts served as a springboard, not only for the Jitterbugs, but also several other local Detroit musical acts, including Don Magic and the Soulful Strutters and the Ladybugs. Dance classes included a healthy curriculum of techniques from African tribal rhythms to a graceful ballet.
The Jitterbugs was Kim Weston's babies. She loved her Jitterbugs. They were always at the top of the leaderboard. That was the group to beat.
The Jitterbugs would win so much until they said that I was playing favoritism, but I wasn't a judge. And I did that purposely to make sure that nobody could say it, but they said it anyway.
Kim always made sure we were on every show, all the important shows, any shows that was out of town, anything that had to do anything with the city, outside the city, she made sure we were on the show.
And those that were there around them, when you mention the name the Jitterbugs, they must look at them with respect.
This spot right here, man, is what we call Hart Plaza. It's the heart of the city.
People standing up all over the halls, all up on the ground, in the back, all over here while we was performing. Man, I'm telling you, at the time when we started performing,
wow, it was like they treated us like we was real stars.
I would have to say that Tracy appeared to be the most serious, and Johnny appeared to be the businessman, and James was James.
Kim Weston's influence allowed her to bring special candidates each year from the Festival for the Performing Arts to Idlewild, an African-American resort town in northern Michigan, established as the Black Eden of 1912 in nearly 3,000 acres. It was frequented by many well-known entertainers and professionals, serving as one of the only places for African-American recreational pursuits during times of segregation until the Civil Rights Act of 1964. It continues today as a state-protected oasis for Black economic prosperity and community development.
I never had one problem with them, not one. There were some times, for instance, like when we went to Idlewild, I remember the guys not going to bed like I told them to go. You know, I remember the guys not staying in the house like I told them to, but I also know that it was an exciting situation, and they had never been in an environment like that. You had to Duke Ellington, Count Basie's, all of these people, Sammy Davis Jr., they all worked up in Idlewild.
When I first went to Idlewild, I'm so geeked. We going to Idlewild, and we going out of town for a show. And I'm thinking big city, lights and, you know, man, I get the Outlaws in the woods. Like, this is it? You mean to tell me we went all this long and come in the woods? So we get in this little paddle boat, right? And paddle in the middle of the sea. I'm like, this is kind of cool. Get down there to the Auditorium stage, big and everything. Before we left Ottawa, I was loving it. Ottawa was a good experience.
I wanted them to understand that if they wanted to be in show business, that show business is not just showing lights. You know, there's a lot of work that goes into it prior to you getting on the stage. Because I used to tell them about Michael Jackson all the time. So by the time Michael gets on the stage and he's doing the moonwalk and all that spinning, can you imagine how many hours of rehearsal?
James remembers one performance that wouldn't have been saved by any amount of rehearsal.
I remember that show. But we was moving so fast, Johnny's shoe came off. I seen him, he kind of was in trouble, right? Then I looked down, he trying to put his shoe on. And we still, because the rule is you don't stop. If you stop, you got to catch up. And he was trying to catch up, and me and Tracy was rolling. We was rolling. And it was just so funny. He was trying to, his shoe kept coming out. Yeah, it was too funny.
We performed a lot of different places and traveled a lot of places thanks to Kim. She showed us the professionalism part of it. You know, when you come from the street, you know, sometimes you take the street with you wherever you go. She showed us that you can't do that. She showed us that you had to start being humble. And from then on, we started making money that we never thought we would make. She groomed us from doing shows like women's correctional facilities. She took us to places like that, the men's jails and people with disadvantages and disabilities throughout the neighborhoods of the urban community. And then she started taking us on stages. And before you know it, we were doing in every club there was, and all of the theaters, hit the Fox Theater, Musical Hall Theater, Orchestra Hall, all the theaters in the city, we touched the stages. And that took us to another level of entertainment so that we wouldn't just be a dance group. We were trying to reach a professionalism to the point where we could actually get a gig in Vegas and stuff like that. So I want to thank Kim Weston for that.
Having succeeded at all the major Detroit venues well into the 1980s, it was only natural that the Jitterbugs evolved their talent to include vocal performance and songwriting as well. Collaborating with the Boone Brothers in 1983, the first attempt at a music career would come on the scene, a popular Detroit-grown television dance show for the industry elite broadcasted from 1975 to 1987.
Let me explain to you about what the scene was. It was a local dance show here in Detroit, and I think it was the only kind in the country other than the Soul Train, but you could go and get on the show and perform and dance, and they had requirements, of course, at the door that you could that you'd have to pass in order to get onto the show. And I think our very first time on the show, all 5 members performed on the scene. I know 4 members performed on the scene, but all 5 members performed on the scene, and I think it would have been Flashlight Parliament Funkadelic that we performed to. And that show actually really gave a good spotlight to local talent in the city. It wasn't a national broadcast, but it was local, and I think some other surrounding states could get that view. They could actually tune in. But it was a beautiful opportunity for us. The first time we performed on that, it had to be, I don't know, maybe 1978. It was after that time we ended up becoming friends with the Boone Brothers, who we met at the festival, and then with them writing a song about us.
These guys right here, the 3 guys that just threw down, these 3 guys. Come on in.
These are the Jitterbugs. The tune Throwing Down is written about them and the way that they dance, and I think that you can really tell that they throw down.
We did a small tour, and this song had been on the radio for 6 months. So the group, the Boone Brothers, they went out and performed. They're saving the last song for last, the Jitterbug song, right? So now they've done 4 or 5 songs, and the crowd is maybe 6,000 or 7,000 people out there. And so now they starting the song, and when it starts, they recognize, and they're like, yeah! And then they start into the verses, and then in the verse went something like, and here to cut the rug are the Jitterbugs, and dancing is their thing. Gang bang, rap bum bum, and the song went shabam bum bum to the bum ho. And the 7,000 people rushed the stage.
In the first place, you got James McGhee, but everybody calls him Freaky Man.
In the second place.
And in the second place, you got John Don Juan, and the boy got a mini fan.
And in the third place.
And that's Tracy McGhee, and he?
It sure looks
good to me.
Yeah, that's it.
Unfortunately, due to a disagreement both with the label and between the Jitterbugs and the Boone Brothers, the single never got off the ground. However, just around the corner, another chance encounter would provide the Jitterbugs with a new twist on their career in 1986.
J-Ball Games will call me man. That's a capital M, a N, and M. These are my blood pressure, understand? And together, we dance. Got the moves you never saw before. Like how it, John John's not gonna tell you more about how we get off on the dance floor.
Then years of blood, sweat, and tears to develop and perfect this dance.
And the right groove, let your body move.
Everybody, get up and dance.
So we develop this dance and set such to rest. And when you see, yeah, proving it to you beyond a shadow of a doubt. So, dance.
We like the dance. We like the dance.
So,
we like the dance.
We did a lot of free gigs. Like we did a gig for a lady at WJLB, and that's how we got to Tim Rice. She gave us a number. She didn't give us no money. She said, call this guy. I called him. I didn't call him. And she called me back. I was like, did you call this guy? I was like, nope. She's like, call this man right now. I called him. Come to find this guy is really an entrepreneur.
My name's Tim Rice. I'm current partner with Jeff Bouchard at Gale & Rice. The company was founded in 1931 by Max Gale, and my dad joined him, Al Rice, in 1946, and we started out at this company as a local band booking agency and talent agency. And I've been with the company for almost 40 years. And Jeff, how long have you been here?
23 years. We've been doing auto shows for about 60.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Barbara, and I'd like to welcome you to the 1986 the Pressure Cooker Show and the incredible Jitterbugs. All that plus these hot new Chevys for 1986.
We auditioned them for Chevrolet to perform at the auto shows, and that's back in the day when they were using quite a bit of entertainment to attract people into the booths to look at the product. The dance was over the top. There was no real name for it back then. You know, there were people popping and locking, but nobody was doing what the Jitterbugs did. And of course, back then, once the client agreed to hire them, we enhanced their show a little bit by hiring a stunt man from California and rented some of the catapults that you see in the movies with Chuck Norris and some of the war movies where guys are stepping on landmines and flying through the air. But we got 3 of them, and the Jitterbugs would come out of the audience, dance into the music, hit the catapults, and start their, at the time, more acrobatic dancing by doing flips over the cars.
Johnny was the smiling, leading the group. Tracy was typically, he's running to make sure.
Tracy was the ladies' man.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And James was the one we were dragging along every once in a while to make sure he's running on time.
Yeah, that's what's nice, is to be back in touch, and because we've lost touch. I've always wondered and asked, I don't know, whatever happened to those guys? I don't know. I think they're around.
Man, he created a beautiful opportunity for the Jitterbugs. You know, he took us on he provided that tour for us that took us all across the country. from South Beach to New York.
Miami, New York, Philadelphia, Ohio, Atlanta, Chicago. In each city we stay for 2 weeks and we got a per diem and we perform 8 times a day for 5 to 6 minutes every day, on the hour, every hour for about 8 hours. And then after that we would just chill at the hotel or go to restaurants, etc.
With further resources at their disposal, the Jitterbugs made a second attempt at a song, this time culminating in the music video in 1988. However, it would become clear that their growing fortune was now throwing their oldest brother into bad habits and a negative light.
There's no question, our style was smooth. We're going to make it groove to the Jitterbug groove. You know you got to be
Smooth with it, just to prove that you can groove with it. We got to build a rep with our steps and our flow. So we the Jitterbugs, so let me hear a ho! Man, you got to check that out. You got to make it.
You know we got to be smooth with it, just to prove that we can groove with it. We also build a rep with our steps and our flow. So here we go, we Jitterbugs, and we get a ho! It seems funny, nowadays everybody talking. I remember when nobody was talking or even knew the crew called Jitterbugs. They think that we were thugs, focused on bigger than drugs. Cause we appeared crazy, can't afford to get lazy and let it faze me. Because we had our sights set on performing, rock and crowd, meanwhile people are swarming. For the chance to see us dance and rock a show, we gotta let them know that we're good to go. When it comes to putting together a jam, with the routine that's guaranteed to play. Cause ain't no ifs, ands, buts.
Can you believe it or not, on this day we were waiting.
You know how long it took us to get this video, right, Trey?
Yeah, it took us a long time.
We waited, bam, today's the
We
day.
always wanted to do it, and he did not show up. Can you believe how wonderful that day was for us, but at the same time how
it
devastating
worked with
that
the
day.
2 dudes, 5 to 2.
It was unbelievable. He was not on stage with us that day.
Yeah.
And we felt it. Nobody could see it.
Yeah.
But we felt it. And it was,
how do we make that work anyway, man?
The charisma still was there. You know, the charm, you know, the talent was there. No
worried
doubt.
about
But
it.
he was truly missed that day.
Yeah, he was missed that day.
Truly missed that day. And then I would actually say from that point on, it was his downfall for, you know, missing shows and
yeah, it was a ripple effect after that.
It was a ripple effect after that, because for him to miss a video, because we
always
wanted to do a video.
Yeah.
When he missed that video, we knew something was wrong.
Yeah, we knew something was wrong. And my brother James not showing up for a show in Atlanta. At the time we were touring with the auto shows. And then preview night, we call Brass Night. It's the most important night of the whole tour. And that night, he didn't show up. So prior to the beginning, we did a sound check before they opened the doors for Lee Iacocca and all the big heavyweights of the auto industry. I would call periodically to see if his flight came in, if he's left the hotel, did he leave us a message? And Tim Rice would always tell me, hey, go check and see if James has arrived yet. So I knew he wasn't coming because he wasn't there when we left.
Here we are in Miami, and this cat ain't here. You go miss the plane to Miami. Didn't show up when he showed up, because we, believe it or not, we was strictly business when we performed. There was no getting high, no doing nothing. Show first, no women, nothing. Show first, then after the show is up, you do whatever you want. Here comes James showing up with women on his arms, and he having fun, and he missed the whole Brass Night. And it dawned on me, it's like, you know what? I think we're in trouble, because no matter what we do or what we achieve, James is not thinking the way me and Johnny is thinking. So things are just gonna keep occurring, and that's exactly what happened.
He started getting heavy in drugs, drinking, and then it pretty much told us what was gonna happen. He refused to do rehearsals. He knew what time we had rehearsals. He wouldn't show up at a rehearsal. So I guess when I knew the downfall was coming would have been when we were sitting at the airport and he didn't show up. We took off on a plane. I was just looking out the window thinking to myself, hey, this don't look good. So I pretty much knew that this was the trickle effect. This was going to start the beginning of the end. I think Tim Rice realized that after the first year we ever worked with him, what a success it was. Second, third year, he started noticing that we might not be working with them a whole lot longer because of my brother James. Okay. So at that point, he asked me, just pulled me to the side, and he said, listen, I can get you a job, and we can continue, you can continue to tour with this auto show, but it'll be without your brothers. And that was like hitting me in the head with a sledgehammer, because prior to that, we hadn't recorded anything in the studio. So after I turned him down and said no, we went on to doing records with Mike Powell. We went on to recording our own demos in the studio. We went on to me being inspired by my brother Trey to say, Jay, you could record that. Jay, you could do this song. And I started writing and producing my own songs in the studio, thanks to my brother giving me inspiration. Now, if I had took the job with Tim Rice, none of that would have came to fruition. None of it. Because in order to take the job with Tim Rice, I would have had to leave the Jitterbugs. The job that he offered me was a lot easier, you know, and at the time I didn't think about how it being so much easier, but it would have been me describing the engine and the functions of the new car, you know, like, this is a 7.6 cylinder overhead cam. As you come closer, you can see here where this is a magnificent operating machine. You'll enjoy it, and I want you to enjoy it. Right? He liked my voice. He said, Johnny, you'll be good for that. I wanted to do it in my own little way, but I truly believed in what we were doing, so I decided not to. Well, if I could take it all back, man, I might have took it from him, man. But I had no way of knowing what was going to happen with our group.
With James in a downward spiral, Johnny and Tracy, loyal as they can be, tried to stay afloat, setting up meetings and still investigating their musical potential. One meeting would come to feel like a nail in the coffin.
We finally got a chance to get an interview, to have a meeting with the lawyers, these female lawyers who were responsible or instrumental in getting Ready for the World was a singing group out of Detroit.
One of our most important meetings ever.
Up in their office in the Renaissance Center, we're sitting there having a meeting, and I looked over and my brother is asleep.
My brother is asleep like this.
Sleep, almost snoring. At an important meeting like this, you know, they noticed it, and they could see that we were upset, and the ladies said, you know, let's let him sleep. But we know that's like strike one, strike two, strike three.
He was so wild and so free. It was, you know, eventually he put himself out the group, and he started missing shows and gigs. And me and Jay, we went on without him, but it just wasn't the same. You know what I mean? So, you know, coming from 5 members all the way down to 2, it just didn't feel right anymore.
Our brother James, he truly was, I don't know, 70% of the reason why we did it. I mentioned the lawyer, I mentioned the drugs, but it was a cumulative effect of things, you know? After the repetition of constantly performing for 35 years plus for me, constantly, having offers to do other things from people that we made connections with, from Tim Rice to other people offering me things, that finally now we got to a point where we got a lot of money in our pocket. And my brother Trey said, you know what, we have been grinding so long, he knew that we were about to not see each other for about a few months, and then we would get back together and plan our next shows. He said, let's take this money and go west.
This older guy came walking up to us and he said, you guys are before your time. There's nothing gonna happen for you here. Everything's in California. Go west, young man. Go west.
So I looked at him and said, you know, I was physically tired. I was physically, the repetition of doing shows, I wanted to be normal. I wanted to be normal. See, but not really. It's like today, I work at a normal job. I'm normal. But then, I was tired, so I told my brother, I said, look, man, all right, we can do that. But when he saw me again, I come pull up in the Cadillac. He said, man, why you do that? We should use this money to go to California, man. And I have an answer for him.
When we finally got a little money, we just wanted to just feel normal. I don't fault them for not growing, but at the same time, I had an agent set up in LA. He was waiting for us. I sent him a tape, and he was loving it. He kept begging us to come down there, but by that time, my brothers had bought expensive cars, and they were living their lives for the first time independently, not worrying about anybody taking care of them on themselves. And we all became men.
And at that point that I went and got the caddy, I also had a brand new baby, a little baby. And that's it. I did like this. This is my baby. I mean, this was a little more than Jitterbugs to me. Why? Because we hadn't made it yet. We hadn't signed that big deal yet. And all of our artists, our fellow friends would say, hey man, whatever y'all do, never give up. We're talking 35 years and he's still talking about never give up. But I don't want to search for any excuses. Okay? Because the bottom line is that it was almost something from almost nothing.
Like the old man said, he said, you know, boys, I done been around the world, I've been in the war, but I ain't never seen nobody like that, like y'all. You guys are ahead of your time. And I didn't understand what he meant until right now. You know, right now I understand what he meant. Because this was back then, and it's still good right now.
Incidentally, when we was in Atlanta, we met Hammer, but we didn't meet him. We was on the elevator with him at the same time while his career was booming. And the creepy thing is, he was in a real bad mood. I wanted to say something to him, but I didn't. So anyway, we on the elevator, and me and my brothers, and we're standing there. He's standing there, and I can see he got a bad disposition on his face. So that's the reason why I didn't say anything. But I think, when I think back about that time, if I had said something to him, I think he would have wanted to see us perform. And if he had, he probably would have put us on the show immediately. That's how it was.
Everything the Jitterbugs had worked for seemed to be gone, swallowed by fate, circumstance, or carelessness. But there was hope.
I guess we thought of the success that we didn't get national or worldwide success. The success of it all today is the survival of it. I'm still pumping. I'm still living. I ain't dead. I ain't in jail. And our dance has taken on a new name, and it's still prevalent today.
Started getting on the 9-to-5 and never looked back until my man Haleem. So we bumped into Haleem, heard that he, was looking for us, and that he wanted to talk to us about our career and the things that we did and things that we achieved in the city.
When I finally tracked down the Jitterbugs and they told me their story, I said to myself, Detroit needs to hear this. The world needs to hear this. Other street dancers could tell you who their founders are and have workshops across the world, instructional videos. Why can't we? I also noticed that this is a way to preserve an art form. I know how special this dance is, and it would be a shame if Detroit gave up on it.
We stopped dancing about 25 years ago or so, maybe even longer, but still today, our dance is still alive in the street, and that to me, that's a success. That's a success story.
Ultimately, redemption was found, and a new mentorship was shaped, a bond between the classic JIT innovators and a leading educator in its new school interpretations. The Detroit legacy of the JIT would remain alive and well, respected yet revolutionized by modern translations.
My question is, why did you guys stop dancing?
My older brother, James. Right now, me and Jake can gig. Me and Jay still get in. But without him, what's up, sweet? But without him, it just wouldn't feel the same. Like TLC, Left by Left, he's irreplaceable.
We might have said a few things about him, about being so responsible for the downfall of the group, but he was so instrumental, and he started it together with Stanley Bowman.
What's up, sweet?
First of all, I want to say, what up, fellas? What up, man? Hey, these some of the baddest cats ever hit the dance floor.
He was in the program with us.
Right. I didn't want to play this. First of all, I want to say I apologize. I couldn't get with y'all. I apologize for that. But like the stuff y'all was saying, I'm gonna tell y'all something. These cats made you go home and practice. Okay? You be like, Oh man, the Jitterbugs, you know they gonna do. Oof, man, I done seen guys in the back of the behind stage getting ready to come behind them like this. I mean, I've seen groups say, nah, you know. So, but I want to ask y'all something. Remember them McKinsey talent shows?
Yeah.
Tell them shows was like, I mean, they were so
better than American Idol.
Okay, I'm gonna tell you something. So we had 12-piece bands in the community, and the Jitterbugs I seen them trash 12-piece bands. I mean, single groups. They were guns and dramatics. Okay, but let me ask y'all this: who y'all think was some of y'all driving competition that made y'all want to rehearse it more?
Back then?
Yeah.
I was in McKinsey High School, and we had formed our group, but the reason why I got diligently deep into it was because of the Hollywood Swingers.
Say it again.
Hollywood Swingers. It came out one night. What's up, baby? Brian. We were in the room right there. And it came out one night. I was just outdone. I couldn't believe. I said to myself, next year, we gonna be up there.
Question, I have a comment. I just want to let you guys know that when people from Detroit, when we travel outside of Detroit, people know that we're from Detroit. And part of the reason they know that we're from Detroit is how we move. And I came up in the 80s, dancing the dancers, dance burn on. I could never do the jet unless I'm outside of Detroit. Outside of Detroit, I'm fierce. But it's because of the foundation that you all laid down, and I just want you to know how much I truly appreciate it.
We appreciate you. Yeah, we thank you. We appreciate that. Much love.